Welcome to Lesson 8, Working with and Formatting Text. You can see I have opened the AI0801 file, and I'm going under Window to Layers to make sure that I am on the artwork layer so that I can actually work on this file. I'm going to start out by clicking on the Type tool and then just clicking on the artboard where I want to put some text. I'm typing in nuts provides energy to get you through the day. Very nice. Okay, now if you noticed, I just clicked. I did not click and drag to create a text area. And I want you to understand the difference because it does make a difference with Creative Cloud. First of all, I want to make my text a little bigger. I'm going to cheat and just do Control A or Command A on the Mac and select all my text and then press Control Shift greater than to make my text a little bit bigger. I am then clicking off and going up to my selection tool. Now notice what happened. Since I just clicked and started typing and did not click and drag to create a text area first, I've created some text that adjusts, gets bigger or smaller as I adjust the text area. Sometimes you want that because you might want to hold your shift key down and adjust that line of text. That's always well and good, but what if you want to push this into 2 lines of text? You can't do that with point text, which is what I have. Now I'm going to undo that last thing I just did by pressing Control or Command Z. And I'm going over to this little dot and double clicking on it. And you'll notice that by double clicking on that, I now have area type. And now I can go back and take advantage of those features that I would have if I had created the text like this. Type tool, click and drag, and then typed nuts provides energy, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean. So that created a text area. And as I add text, it would just, of course, continue to follow that text area. I can also change this to point type by just clicking on that twice, and now you'll see that this adjusts. So it depends on what you want, but it is a new feature that's really nice. I'm going to go ahead and open this up so it's on 1 line of text. Next, I'm going to change the fill to white so I can see it just a little bit better. Now, what about placing other text in here, like larger quantities that you have done in Word and you want to bring into Illustrator? And here I'm going to take my type tool again and I'm going to click and drag to create a text area. Now I want you to notice when I reposition this cursor, do you see sometimes it's a round cursor and sometimes it's a square cursor? I want to see this square because that means that I'm creating a new text area. If I see the round one, it's finding something and wants to wrap the text in it. So I'm going to create that text area and let me show you what happens if you click when you see that rounded area. I'm taking a rectangle. In fact, let me do something more fun. I'll take an ellipse tool and click and drag. If I take my type tool and I simply move over inside of the shape, do you see it now becomes rounded? That's because if I click, my text will flow within that text area. If I don't want to do that, I have to make sure that with the type tool, I'm seeing the square text insertion point. Now I'm going to go back to this shape that I created down here. So I'm taking my selection tool, make sure that I can find it and activate it. And I have it active. I'm taking my type tool, and it's important that I click in there and I have my cursor going if I'm placing text. Otherwise, it won't know where to go. And then I'm selecting File, Place, and I'm going out to my AI08 Lessons folder and looking for the text folder and selecting the text called Ingredients. Now I click on this once and I click on Replace. And this is something new. I don't know whether it's just a change in CC, but you didn't have to use to do that. But you do have to press Replace now to guarantee that it's going to flow within that text area. And you can see the ingredients fall right into place. Now I'm going to select all. I'm pressing Command or Control A, and I'm going up to my fill and changing it to white. And if I want to change the justification, I can center it I can left align it. I can right align it. I can even click on paragraph up here as a hyperlink and set it for justify, which looks pretty bad. I actually like left align a little bit better. Now, I want to move the whole text area. Keep in mind that you can hold down the Control or the Command key to give you the shortcut key for switching to the selection tool so that you can still stay on the type tool, but yet you can reposition items as well. I am going to go to the selection tool now because I want to talk about what we're going to create on the back. We're going to take the type tool and create a text area and click and drag. But this time, maybe I want columns in here. Now in the book, I give you exact amounts that you want to set this text area up to be. But in here, I'm just going to leave it at the default of whatever size I just created. And then I'm going up to type area options. And you'll see that in here, I can change the width. So maybe I'll make this 7 inches by 6.5. And I can also add rows and columns. So typically you might use columns. I can have how far they're going to span and how much of a gutter, that space between, there's going to be. So if I click on preview, here's the gutter right there. I'm going to click on OK. Now the same rule applies. I need to have my type cursor clicking inside of here. And then I can choose File, Place. I can go select the nuts text, make sure I click on Replace and Place. My options come up and I just click OK. But now I've flowed the text. I'm going to select it and it's flowed into 2 columns. So relatively easy to do. So you don't have to do all your typing again in Illustrator. I'm going to show you one more thing before I wrap this up. I am on the type tool and you'll notice that when I cross over a path, I'm not holding any modifier key, but you'll see that I can click on that path with the type tool. It changes the stroke attribute to absolutely nothing, so it's none, and then I can go ahead and I can type in here. Nuts is good for you, or whatever you want to type. I'm selecting it all and I am changing it to white. And again, I can press Control Shift greater than or Command Shift greater than to make it larger or smaller. One other little tip, if I take the ellipse tool and I click and drag it, and I actually don't want the type to go inside of it, but on the outside, I do need a modifier key. If I hold down my Alt or Option key, you'll see I get that same squiggle, and when I click on that, I can type around the circle. I can select it all, make it bigger or smaller. I can even switch to the selection tool, and I can take the anchor point and move it and reposition it. And where you see the I-beam that I'm dragging depends upon the alignment of your text. So if it's center alignment, you'll probably see that I-beam in the center, or on the right if it's right aligned, or on the left if it's left aligned. So in this video, you discovered how you can format text.